use and dispose. We take the raw material from our mines, okay, or some other the resources. We produce it in our manufacturing facilities or in the service organization. We use it, but at last we dispose it, right? We dispose it. Because we want a new phone means we are throwing the older one. New washing machine, we are throwing the older one. We don't have account where it gone. Use it. So this is the linear economy. It is okay when an economy is very small. This model is okay. But when an economy is very huge, it will not work. That's why the present condition. This model will not work because the resource is finite, right? We can extract infinite number of minerals from the earth. We can't. One day it will be finished. With finite resources, we take, use and dispose. So what will happen at last? Everything will finish, right? The whole system will finish, the whole universe will finish. If we keep on continuing working on this model, that is the linear economy, take, make, use and dispose. So what benefits circular economy can bring? So this is circular economy. We will take, we will make, we will use, but at last we will collect it. So after collection, what we will do? We can do redistributing our products so that anyone can use, reusing it, right? Or we can do minor repairs and use it again, remanufacture, at last recycle. Okay, this is the concept of which circular economy works. So after collection, they will not directly go to the recycle one. Initially, will start for reusing. Initially, will start for reusing. We will see different examples how we can go with the circular economy ideas. So this is the basic understanding. It's from Alan MacArthur Foundation, who founded the circular economy concepts. So this is all about any products that we are using, mostly having some nutrients, biological nutrients, mostly, very few, and some technological nutrients, right? Biological nutrients undoubtedly will go back to the soil, right? Because they will decompose, they will biodegradable. They are all biodegradable. If you see the left side of one, right side of one is the technical. If you see the technical materials, after our use, we can collect it, share it. If you see in different countries like Europe and all, there are systems like renting of the tools. See, there are certain tools, farming tools or repair tools, we may not use every day, right? Only in certain occasions we use. So there are stores who are keeping those things and people come and take them for their use and then return it. They are renting it. Redistributing. Mostly there are certain NGOs coming up in India which help us to redistribute the products, okay, clothings and all. Because usually in our globalization, they are telling us you take more so that they can get the benefits and the total social system, total environment system will get damaged. You can see the advertisements and all, okay. Even in Amazon, there are like, you take it now, pay it later, right? And we are not giving a second thought. We are taking it now, even though we don't have money, right? Rural people and all. And we are paying it later. And sometimes even many products are not in need, but we are taking it because we want them. But circular economy is the reverse of it. The design in the circular economy concept is like that. The product will sustain its life for more and more number of years. Okay, even though the biological products will go through this. Okay, because circular economy, the food for one cycle or food for one is the next life, or not the waste for other, it is again the food for another one. If you go for our natural systems, if you see our natural systems, the food for one system is not a waste, it is another food for the next system. See, for the plants, when they are growing, they are taking the energy from the sun, right? The sun, we are taking the energy, plants taking the energy from the sun. Suppose that is the cycle one. Suppose one bird eat the berry, and when it throw it, it will go somewhere else along with some of its byproducts. These products will help in composting the berry and make a new plant. So the waste of the bird is utilized in getting a life of another one. This is complete cycle, right? But what about the man-made systems? It is not cycle. But circular economy brought its concept from this nature-inspired designs, or we call it biomimicry. Like a waste from one thing may be a food for the other. Suppose if it's the second one, if a product is unable to repair or maintain, we'll go for remanufacturing. For a product, suppose consider an motorcycle. Suppose the life or the registration life for a motorcycle they are giving us 15 years. It is for the whole motorcycle, not for the child parts. If you go to the child parts, some of the bearings, some of the gears have the life, have the useful life, but we are dumping it, right? What circular economy is telling is we can take out those parts which have its shelf life, and we can use it in another new bike, remanufacture parts or refurbishing. Okay, that's the concept. At last, if nothing is reusable, redistributable, remanufacturable, then or unrepairable, then we'll go for recycling, because recycling is labor intensive. It will take some more energy. Look at the data. One of the textile industry's data from again same from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. I have taken this data. You see, clothing, use of clothing, how it has grown. Clothing sales increased from 100, right, to around 2 times, right, 2x, more than 100 billion units. This is the selling. But if you see the another, this one, the utilization, it means that it is getting down. We are purchasing, but we are not utilizing, we are not wearing. We are purchasing for the occasions only. And if you see and open your almirah, you will see that you forgot that I have purchased that cloth some years back, because we are only wearing this for occasions, keeping it, dumping it, and at last throwing it. Because that's the concept, and that's the urbanization we can tell, that's the sophistication we can tell, that take, use and dispose. If we don't wear good dresses at certain occasions, we are not considered as humans. We are not sophisticated person, we are not literates. That's what the condition is. But look at the utilization, it is getting down, right? For a simple clothing, there are certain processes like fiber production, clothing production, use and after use, and at every step there is CO2 emission, right? At every step we are purchasing one cloth means we are emitting CO2, because I have a demand for a new cloth. Even though I have 100 number of clothes, I have a demand, I am purchasing means I am making a demand for a new cloth, and producing a new cloth is having a carbon emission at each stage. You can see, even after use, you just make it a try. Keep a room open, go there, check the temperature, and keep a room filled with your clothings and go and check the temperature without human being. You will see, you will find the difference by your own. Okay, how much emissions are there. So where all these clothings are going? Mostly data told that 73% of those are landfill, means we are throwing it. 73%. The concept of recycling is only in the paper. Mostly hardly 2 to 3% are being recycled. And even in the cloth industry, textile industry, when I go through different papers, I found that it's very difficult to recycle also, because see, if a shirt is coming with plastic buttons, okay, with some nylon threads and all, we have to separate it out from the cotton. Even though the shirt is totally made up of cottons or biodegradable material, certain attachments are there which is making it very difficult to separate it out. Because before recycling, you have to do that. Before decomposing them for a composting or anything else, or making new product, you have to separate them out, all those non-biodegradable products with the biodegradable products. So it's very difficult. But there are ambitions There are advancements in textile industries where something is going on. We can phase out the substances of our concern in microfiber stage itself. Then we can increase the clothing utilization. Okay, we can tell people how people are doing it. There are certain companies coming out who can take your old jeans and they will give you a new one with lesser amount. Okay, and there are certain companies which are giving subsidies when we are returning our products to them. Okay, there are certain companies that are coming up, and because of circular economy, you can radically improve the recycling. Again, I am coming to this picture because this is the only picture which will tell you the whole about the circular economy. Okay, just look at it, understand it. Biological nutrients and technological nutrients. Okay, and think of it, analyze it, what we are doing in our day-to-day life. If I will ask you, there are companies which are selling remanufactured or refurbished toothbrush. Are you accept to take it? Currently, suppose the one toothbrush cost is suppose 80 rupees, and there will be one company which will sell you same toothbrush 40 rupees, but it is a refurbished one, remanufactured one. Means the handle will be as it is, or some cleaning will be there, only the head will change. Are you getting to, are you going to purchase it? How many of you purchase it? If 80 rupees brush, I will give you toothbrush, I will give you 40 rupees with a refurbished one. The head only, because see the handle of the brush, plastic, right? Mostly wooden are coming up. If you purchase, if you are motivated enough to use those products, there are wooden brushes and are there. But if plastic brushes we are giving, how many of you will purchase second hand plastic brushes? There are companies they are selling, I'm telling. There are companies. No one will purchase second hand toothbrush. Okay, few hands only. Okay.
Sir, first question is that how they make their
Yeah.
plastic. Sir,
Okay. At last you can ask me this question. Huh? So certain consuming patterns are there which are in our blood, I believe. Okay, we are unable to change our mindset of take, make, and dispose. But there is no harm in using those toothbrushes. Okay, the manufacturing companies will tell you in detail why there is no harm. Because they are changing the heads. We have to do with the heads only. Handle we are holding only, right? So what's the problem there? I believe there is no problem. Similarly, carpooling is one option. In certain countries, there are carpooling, means there is no ownership of the cars. Mostly in Europe or mostly in Nordic countries, there is no ownership of the cars. We don't own a car, but we can drive a car. And we can utilize this to our own interest. We can go anywhere else. Okay? Because we can rent the cars and again dispose that in their places. Yeah, just. So what I told you, the circular economy concept is mostly working on reuse, recycle, remanufacture, repair, redistribute, all those things, so that the shelf life of the product which can be usable be there in the earth, okay, without being dumped somewhere else. I told you one example that certain products in the main product, certain child parts are still having its shelf life, but we are throwing it unnecessarily. But companies are there like Caterpillar and all, they are taking the old gears and they are giving subsidies and returning some money to the consumers if they will give the child parts back. And certain companies in Japan, they are also electronics goods, they are taking it, okay, remanufacturing the same product and giving it back to the customer, and customers are accepting it. But this called as the inertia principle in circular economy, which told that do not repair the product which don't require maintenance. Why should we repair it if it is not needed any maintenance? And do not remanufacture the product if it is repairable. If a product is repairable, we should not remanufacture it. And if a product is remanufactured, don't give it for recycling. Okay. because recycling should be the last option in circular economy, because this is labor intensive, energy intensive. Okay, we need a lot of energy for recycling and all the things. Okay, so there are certain design principles by means of which we can make the products and its child part biodegradable, reusable, reassemble, remanufacturable. Okay, and we can get the customer trust. And design for durability makes the product life more in this earth. Yesterday one of the speaker told about the bathtub curve, right? And design for standardization, compatibility, design for maintenance. Some products are very difficult to maintain. If at the design stage itself we will think about the product, how we can design it as we are engineers, so that it can be easily repairable. If you see different mobile phones or different daily use products, certain products are easily repairable. Okay, we can dismantle it very easily. So most companies still operate in the same take, make and dispose model, because they want the product to be sold very cheaply, the energy should be very cheap, and they want the customer to ask for the products, the cheaper products, very easily. I'm telling you, these data centers and all, they are in need of a lot of minerals for their hardwares, a lot of, and they are not infinite, they are finite. Okay, but there are some companies which are trying to transition to a circular economy. They are willing to accept this model. There are certain barriers, but they are in a phase that they will accept this. So there are certain barriers I told you for circular economy. There are the barriers, maybe high initial costs, and we are not assured of the, because this is a grooming field, we are not assured of the return on of investment. If we are making the product more durable, what are the investments we are incurring as a company whole, as a whole? Shall I get the back our investments? We are not sure of it. And lack of recycling and remanufacturing facilities. The consumers are not ready to give the product back to the suppliers. The facilities, the supply chain is not like that. The product after use may easily get to the remanufacturing facility by the supplier, so that can be a hindrance. Product design is not suitable for disassembly. Certain products are there which is very difficult for disassembly. Poor reverse logistics. Reverse logistics means again the same product will go to the manufacturer, and while going to the manufacturer, the circular economy will make it sure that this transmission will be through renewable energy sources, right? Weak environmental regulations. I told you, na, Amazon got sanctioned for 150,000 billion of water to drawing clean water in Spain for its data center. So this is the legislation, okay, the regulations. Lack of incentive subsidies. If people will get subsidies, people will get money when they will return their old products, then people will use it. Low consumer awareness, because we are having the mindset of take, make, use and dispose. We are not thinking of anything, the adverse impact of those things. And short-term profit orientation by the corporates, by the companies, they are not at all thinking of the long-term sustainability of our earth or viability of the earth. And undoubtedly the preference for new products and over refurbished product ones. I told you the toothbrush, we are not willing to use. Many of us not willing to use the old toothbrush. So now we have to understand that this linear system will no longer work, and it is effect. Okay, it is not in distant future, it is the present day calamity. Okay, the danger is knocking at our doors if we still continue this linear system. So now governments, companies, social enterprises, they're coming up with the circular economy plans like local futures in Britain. Okay, this Ellen MacArthur Foundation, they are trying a lot of things. Certain social organizations are coming up to redistribute the products, and certain governments are now opening their eyes because they are banning certain products in their countries from manufacturing, from using, for everything else. These microbes and all, Japan will not use. Okay. So business is as usual is no longer possible. No longer possible because we are going to destroy ourselves. So as a responsible citizen, we have this concept of circular economy. At least at this stage of our day-to-day life, we can use those concepts. We can learn from here or anywhere else, and we can damage our earth in a less quantum. So certain C practices or examples, if anyone have, you can share that what the practices of this reuse, remanufacture with the the companies, or certain recycle, reuse, repair things. If you have any examples to share, I'm happy to listen from you. Can you use certain circular economy principles in our day-to-day life when we are waking up from the bed till we are going to the bed? Any principles, whatever we learn here, can be helpful for us to maintain that earth in a viable state. Have you any examples? I have one example. Okay, I'm sharing this example in my classrooms and all. One example I'm telling. Last 10 years, when I started my PhD, 2017, till now, I'm using only 3 pens. I'm carrying these 3 pens with me. These are the 3 pens. I'm reusing it again and again, filling the ink and using 10 drops of ink. It is going months and months. These 3 pens helping me. Last 10 years, I am not disposing plastic pens for a landfill. I'm not disposing. That's what I'm doing last 10 years. So if you have some examples, if you are doing some practices, kindly share so that others can emulate it and they can use it. Anything is there? I told you car renting is there. Anything is there with anyone? Yeah,
We can go to shop without taking the polythene bags.
correct. We can go to the shop without taking the polythene. Our own carry bags we can take and get the grocery or whatever. By chance, if you are not taking it, you can get that polythene or give that polythene back to them again. I'm doing this practice. I can tell you one story. Few days back, I visited one village. Okay, hardly 4 to 5, 7 to 8 homes are there. When I used to visit those villages because as I'm working here in this field, it is in Gauspati district. They told me that only for 2 things they are depending on the market. One is kerosene, second one is salt. Everything they are producing by themselves. In Orissa, I'm telling, in Gauspati district, everything they are producing and consuming by themselves. They're not at all harming the earth. But think of us, how we are harming the earth. Another example, few days back in Mohana bus stop, I was there. In the morning, I went for a tea shop for a tea. When that lady gave me in a paper cup, I told her that, is there any glass cup is there? She told no. Then she has given me a paper cup. I didn't took it, but I have a dialogue with them because if we feel that we are concerned about our world, we can have a dialogue. They don't understand the things, but we can have dialogue in their own language. I asked her, like, why are you giving paper cups? Okay, she told it is less costly, easy for me. And that after taking the sip of the tea, people are throwing it outside. I told her, why don't you keep one dustbin here? Then she told, no problem. Cow will come and take it out to his belly. So when I asked her again, why don't you keep the dustbin? They are not having the dustbin. I told, keep a dustbin outside. They told that the cow will come and take it from the dustbin. That's why I told to throw it outside. Then I told, keep the dustbin inside your cabin. Then she told the cow will come inside my cabin. Then again, after asking, she told that why the people are keeping their cows outside. Why don't they keep inside? Because there is no grazing land, okay, for them. There is no land for them for the grazing. That's why they are coming. Usually, when we are child, we are happily live in a single room, right? Our houses are single room. We 5 to 6 people can happily sleep there. But now, there's privacy. A lot of things are there. Every individual in a family have different bedrooms and private rooms. That is not sufficient. A single individual may be having 2 or 3 homes nowadays. That's why these grazing lands are going down, right? This one certain examples we can take. Anyone have examples? Water bottles, we can use steel or copper water bottles. They are having a good life, okay, and you can use it for 7 8 years, steel bottles. Another concept of circular economy is nature inspired designs, or we call it is biomimicry, seeing the nature, emulating how they are doing it, and designing the products based on that. One example I can give now, like those data centers, again and again I'm telling, they, if they will be designed based on the termite mounts, okay, the termites mounts, uyunka you can tell it, right? They have some concept of passive airflow. Those mechanical engineers can know the technology, like the concept of buoyancy and passive airflow can keep their termite mounts in a perfect temperature. The air will reversely go inside and keep the temperature down. Similar designs can be possible in our homes. People are coming up with those ideas. People are designing the homes like that. So these are the nature inspired designs. They will help us, they will inspire us to design the products without harming, without this labor intensive, energy intensive designs. We can be inspired by the nature and design our products and services. Okay, and that's all. Thank you. If you have any query, please. Diverted by the advertisements, by the media people, by the corporate. Okay, just think of this, evaluate it yourself, and try to make our world a viable one.
Sir, one more question is that you telling about that the price economically we can decrease the price, means we can make something in a low cost budget. But what happens, sir? Government will be increase the price. Like consider, sir, mobiles. Mobile will be built in a low cost price, sir. But when it's come to market, sir, it's increase the price. And same thing happened with that food, sir. Rice. Now the wheat increased to 48 rupees. Now type 30. That is how to manage that.
So we have to choose a government that is having circular economy.
Actually, government is collecting the tax. What's the purpose of it? What is the purpose of it?
Sir,
Do you think that they are eating, they are collecting for their own sake? Government is providing all the basic infrastructure facilities that are required for the people. You are having so many educational institutions funded by the government.
Yeah.
They build on their own, put the money and they are circulating. Right? You are traveling without In the night also you could able to travel without any difficulty. Who is paying the electricity? You are paying. We are paying in the form of a tax to the government. So here the concept is not to deal with the taxes, and that is a different story. That is a different story. Second thing is that what you have asked now. Earlier, that means maybe decades earlier, all the societies are self-centered, and there is no this currency system also. There was a barter system. Economic people can tell about that one barter system. You will produce one, you will produce one, I will produce one. I will give it to you, my produce, and you will give it to you, and they will be self-sufficient. Now, to have the earnings and other things, we are trying to produce more and send to the other people where it is not available. But if it is not there, they will try to produce on their own. As it is available at a cheaper cost from other place, we are trying to import. Never we try to manufacture on our own or grow on our own. So just because of the economically we are getting, we think that, and we are becoming lazy and we are not producing anything, and we are purchasing from that one. But this transportation has a lot of pollution that has been creating. So one way it is useful, but what best we can do so that we can, whatever the degradation we are getting, how we can minimize it is the main crux, what it is the need of the hour. That is what okay.
Last question, sir. Sir, you told one we can buy a bike and after 15 years we can reuse the parts. And what about that battery, sir? What about that battery, sir? Means the battery is not for long period of time. Sir. For certain period of time, we can rechargeable or maintenance then you use it. And when it's come to mobile phones, after the battery will be became fat, then we throw the outside. So how to use that things?
There are certain companies, okay, even in India, they are taking this e-waste. Okay, then there is technology there, which they are able to recycle it. If you Google it, you will find. And better option I can tell, use public vehicles. Don't come today. I can. Sir told me I will send car. I don't know. I will come by color bus. Buy one more emission. You will see this trend. Okay, for certain occasions, I will tell you one example. Thank you for this question. We are prepared. Most family members, they are being prepared for very good dresses and all. Okay, so I thought for this occasion we wear this one. But few days back when I went to a marriage, because of something, I got a hole here. Okay, it is not visible, but during the marriage it is visible. So I went to the Vijayapatna Square, Vijayapatna Park, there are mending. Our people are very precise in the mending. Is it visible? It is a mended bed only. I am using it. After going there, I will show you how it is being done.
Instead of that, you make another 3 holes. It's the latest fashion. Instead of 1, you make it 3.
It's my marriage bed only. I am using it since 10 years.
He is the most advanced. Yes, sir.
This is mended only, okay?
And one point what you are missing is, what the sir has told that your technological advancement should be such that your lifetime of the product should be the maximum. That is what I have stressed. If you could remember that one. Right. As an engineers and the innovators, what is the purpose with which you people are supposed to do is how you can increase the longevity of the products that is being manufactured for the customers, so that the quantity of usage will be reduced. And that is what is the main circular economy concept is. Reduce the consumption. Reduce the consumption. When you can reduce the consumption. And this thing is again the attitude problem. These days especially, don't feel otherwise. A saree that has been worn for one function should not be worn for the second function, because already people have seen it. Yes or not? This is the concept. Not only here, in whole world the same concept it has been working with. A dress which has been purchased for 50,000, 60,000 will be at max 2 times. That is a parental problem, because they are giving the money. Parent is not changing the mobile. Please keep it in mind. Parent is not changing the mobile. Kids are changing the mobiles. Okay. So our purpose should minimize the consumption from my end so that whatever the damage I am doing to my climate and the earth should be kept at minimum so that we can transfer this earth to the next generations in a living and conducible conditions. Otherwise, nowadays we are seeing that the people who go underwater and other things, they are wearing this oxygen cylinders and other things. They will come where a person walking on the wall will also, on the road also, will have an oxygen cylinder and need to walk because no pure oxygen might be available in the air. So this is the responsibility that learning is to increase the responsibility from the human beings, and why it is a topic for us is because as a teachers and as an educated learned persons, it is our responsibility to how we can propagate around the people who are around us to enhance their learning as well as change in attitudes of our lifestyle. That is very, very important. Okay.
Thank you.
Next.
Sir, thank you, sir. We have learned a lot of facts from your session. So my only question is it practically possible to eliminate the use and throw culture from the regional and local levels?
It's possible in certain countries. India also it is going on. So it's possible. And it is possible.
Is awareness the only
Because it
problem?
is impossible if we continue to live. So when the things will be impossible, anyhow we have to try it.
Is awareness is the only problem why we are?
Yeah, awareness is a major problem. Consumers are not at all aware of this, whatever they are doing. Because if you ask ourselves, we are not aware, right? Whatever we are doing, we are not accountable on. Today we did one, whatever, how is it gone? Don't know. We don't know. The institution we have to change. As an individual also we need to change.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
So I have a doubt, sir. Sir, you said that you said that transportation is emitting so much carbon footprint from the earth, sir. So I have a doubt, sir. We are importing soybean oil from USA because USA is the largest producer of soybean oil, and the country has the most land and the proper agriculture facility to grow the soybeans. India do not have that much soybean oil production land, so we export soybean oil from them, sir. Sir, I think the infrastructure of agriculture we want to make here to produce the soybean oil in India will destroy so much forest. We can reduce that much carbon emission from that transportation of our ships or airplane. I think we can reduce the amount of carbon footprint by only transporting, not by deforestation.
Question and answer is same.
That's what I'm confusing. You are telling the question and answer.
Actually, again the same thing. Long back we visited a cardiologist. Right. He asked one question: how much oil you use per month? So the person is answered that normally how much oil a family of 4 members, how many oil we use? 4 to 5 kg in a month. In a month. Right. We told that we are 3 and we use 2 liters in 3 months. 2 liters in 3 months. A family of 3 members. That much quantity is only sufficient if you want to keep your heart in a good condition. Again, why we need so much of billions of liters of oil to be imported? Because our consumption is much more than what we need. So if you are really aware and reduce your consumption, automatically there is no need of producing more. Again the same concept. Minimizing the usage. Right? So we need to see that what everywhere we are using excess. Everywhere. In our childhood, when we were in schools, whatever the notebooks we used to use in the last year, whatever the leftover pages are there, we used to extract that one and we used to bind the books and we used to use for the next year. Right. And this convent culture for a they may be using 20 to 30 books, and mostly they are unused. So where is the problem lies? In our thinking, in our attitude, how we can reduce our consumption. The major concept of Bible Earth is you reduce your consumption, live and let the other generations to come live in a happy environment. Right? So if you really think what it is really required for me and limit yourself, that's what I always say, that participatory living. Don't live that what others think, the way in which the others think. Live your life as per your will and pleasure, not for the others, and minimizing your consumption. Then everything will reduce over a period of time. We can't expect the family, the Barampur should reduce. Our Barampur consumption, Barampur will reduce. If each one of the person living in the Barampur reduces by half half kg, right? Maybe the tons of consumption in a day will be reduced. Like that in a year. So no need to look for earning in lakhs. If you reduce your needs and consumption, automatically whatever the minimum earning what we are having, we are happily we can live with that one. Right?
There are many startups are coming with this circular method. Okay? You can go and search. You can find a lot of ideas. Okay, let me finish with one quotation from our father of nation, Mahatma Gandhi. What he told is, if you want to be happy, whatever we think, whatever we say, whatever we do, must be in harmony. But I tell, if as a human race we need to sustain, then whatever we think, whatever we say, whatever we do, must be circular. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Samantha, for that thought-provoking address. And I thank all the participants, guests, and all the students who engaged Dr. Samantha in a truly enriching session. We appreciate the clarity and depth of the keynote responses. And on behalf of Solve 2026, we express our sincere thanks to Dr. Samantha. Now it is our pleasure to felicitate Dr. Alok Kumar Samantha for his inspiring keynote address. May I request Secretary Vitam, Professor Dr. MD Prasad, and Sir, this token symbolizes our appreciation and respect. Let us again applaud him for Dr. Alok Kumar Samantha. We take a break of exactly 5 minutes before the next session starts. So kindly have teas and biscuits, then we'll gather again here in 5 minutes.